To fasten your seatbelt, push the metal tab into the buckle and then pull on the belt end to tighten. The belt may be released by pushing the red release button, lifting the top of the buckle.
I've only been out there once. It's a small little village nestled in right along the coast, and it's just it's rural Alaska.
Royala Bell and her husband Carlton don't have a lot of choice when they want to feed their family of 8. Alaska Commercial Store, also known as AC, is the only grocery store in Hooper Bay, their remote bush village in western Alaska. And if it weren't for a unique program run by the U.S. Postal Service, of all things, selection in the store might be more limited, and prices might be higher. The post office pays a hefty subsidy to ship food and all sorts of other items here from Anchorage, more than 500 miles away. But the Bells still struggle with the cost of their food.
I think the food is too high. I like if I go AC, get like 2 cans of pop, juice, crackers, and that's enough for only like $50.
Oh.
I have to wait for a Friday to get paid from my husband's work. That's when we can go shopping.
One of the challenges retailers face in delivering products to rural Alaska is that they have to fly to these places. There literally are no roads connecting most villages to each other or to the cities. So one way retailers are dealing with this challenge is to use the Bypass Mail program, created in the early 1980s by former Senator Ted Stevens. The program allows retailers to ship freight for about half of what it would cost them to send goods commercially.
Bypass mail is, I've heard it described in many ways. A lot of times they talk about it being our highway funds up here. Out here, there are no roads. Everything has to be flown. Anything from food, household goods, and this is their lifeline. I mean, most villages only have 1, maybe 2 stores, and this is how they get their food.
To understand exactly how the bypass mail system works, we followed a pallet from Anchorage all the way to the AC store in Hooper Bay, where the Bell family lives. This pallet weighed 1,366 pounds and contained soft drinks with some juice and water. So the way that it works is a retailer, like Alaska Commercial, buys soda and other groceries from suppliers in Tacoma or Seattle, Washington. The freight travels on a container ship to Anchorage. Then its goods are shrink-wrapped into pallets no smaller than 1,000 pounds. Alaska Commercial pays the Postal Service 33 cents or 40 cents per pound for shipping, depending on the distance it flies. In this case, the Postal Service collected $484.56 for the pallet we followed. This pallet passed through the hub town of Bethel, population 6,000. From there, the pallet is broken down so it can be loaded into a smaller bush airplane, operated by one of 9 carriers, which may also be carrying passengers. Era Aviation flew our pallet the remaining 153 miles from Bethel to Hooper Bay, where the items were delivered via pickup truck to the AC store. In this case, the Postal Service paid the airlines $3,167.77 to ship the pallet from Anchorage to Hooper Bay, taking a loss of over $2,600. Last year, the Postal Service lost about $77 million on this program. The Post Office's Inspector General issued a report on the bypass mail program in November 2011, saying the program is due for some changes.
Our conclusions centered around the fact that the Postal Service is paying for infrastructure in Alaska in a way that it doesn't necessarily provide in the rest of the country. Bypass is not really what's considered mail in the rest of the country. It's more like commodities and things that would be considered more freight.
Republican Congressman Darrell Issa recently presented a new bill to Congress to change the way bypass mail works.
The most important part of the reform we're trying to do on bypass freight, or bypass mail as it's called, is to simply make it as inexpensive to perform as possible. One of the things about subsidies that's always interesting is people assume if you subsidize something, you lower the price. If you subsidize something, you often simply raise the profit.
Some critics also argue that the program does not actually benefit rural Alaskans.
So scary.
Residents like the Bell family in Hooper Bay complain that they wouldn't be able to afford groceries if it weren't for food stamps and other government assistance they receive. So many ask, given the low shipping rates stores pay, why do grocery prices remain so high?
You can go down and check it out, milk's $9 a gallon. I mean, if there wasn't that subsidy, what would the cost of a gallon of milk be? I mean, a 12-pack of soda is $15. A loaf of bread is $6. A bag of chips, Lord God forbid if you can afford to buy them, is $9. You know, you pay a lot of money, and it's all based on weight. The heavier it is, the more expensive it is.
I know most of the people get public assistance. It's still pretty spendy, and I know they're trying to take advantage of it.
Alaska's bypass freight system distorts what would otherwise be business decisions for companies up there, and the benefit in the ordinary course usually isn't passed on to the Native American in the rural area. And in many cases, instead of stockpiling Diet Cokes and energy drinks and even water during times in which they can send in supplies by sea or by ground freight, they don't do it because it's cheap enough to ship it by air year-round.
Just the fact that they're able to receive the goods, somehow that needs to happen. So that's the benefit that they receive from the program. Now, whether the cost is comparable to the benefit received is probably arguable, but somehow, if the program was discontinued from the Postal Service, others would have to step in the gap and provide, I think, the goods to the rural communities in Alaska.